Hey you guys, it's Kyle from Markham Reptiles. I'm here with my girl Belle, and today we're going to go over 5 common misconceptions about snake keepers. First, you guys, I want to give a big shout out to my partner ReptiChip. If you don't know who ReptiChip is, they are at the top of the cocoa game. They are a wonderful coconut substrate producer. Go check them out. I'm going to put a link in the bio, okay? So first I'm going to hit on the topic that people seem to think that snake keepers just have snakes free roaming their house at all times. There are a couple of reasons that this is false, okay? First of all, snakes are not like a dog, okay? If you let them loose and you call their name, they're not coming back, okay? Snakes are not going to come back when you call them. But the major reason that people do not let snakes free roam their house is it doesn't meet their care guidelines, okay? Belle needs her cage at around 86 degrees. My house does not stay 86 degrees. I don't know about your guys' house. My house does not stay 86 degrees. She is also a tropical snake, so she needs a good amount of humidity, okay? And your house does not have the type of humidity that your snake requires. So if you let your snake roam around your house all day, it's going to be sick. It's going to have a respiratory infection, okay? So people do not let that happen. They contain their snakes. You know, their snakes have an enclosure. If they're a good snake keeper, they're going to let their snakes come out sometimes, or they're going to get them such a big enclosure that they have, ample room to move around and do whatever they want, okay? You see some enclosures behind me. I'm actually going to be doing a snake tour really soon. I got some big upgrades going on in my snake room. So subscribe and definitely check that out. The number 2 most common misconception, and this was a very popular one on Instagram. By the way, if you're not following us on Instagram, go ahead and do that. The link is also in the description. But the very popular comment was, snake keepers come in all shapes and sizes, you guys. Snake keepers can be men, they can be women, they can be any color, they can be any lifestyle. They could be anybody. Anybody can love snakes, just like anybody can love animals. Snakes are simply an animal. We are animal lovers. Some people prefer dogs. Some people prefer cats. Some people like everything. And we just happen to like snakes. I have a dog too. And I just like snakes as well. I like lizards too. Some people are lizard people. You know what I mean? Some people like birds. People are different, you guys. And you can't put a blanket stereotype on people who like snakes. There's definitely not just one person, one type of person who likes snakes. Just like any community, we encompass all types of people. There are all types of people in our community. And one great thing about our community is all of these people have one thing in common, and that is the love for animals, especially reptiles, and in this case, especially snakes. Okay, this one is not in the comments, you guys, but I just thought it was a good one to touch on. And it kind of goes hand in hand with number 1. And that is that people seem to think that if you have a snake, you're going to force them to interact with the snake. Now, I would never force somebody to hold a snake that is not interested in holding a snake. I got my boy Dundee here. He's actually a Maruke scrub python. He's a beautiful animal if you guys were wondering about him. He's a super cool animal, super inquisitive. He can be defensive, but I've worked with him for years now. He's like 4 years old. He'll be 5 in April. And he is a beautiful animal. But Dundee, I would never pass to anybody who doesn't have the type of experience that it requires to read a snake like Dundee. That goes for any snake I have. If I pass a snake to a child or someone that's scared of snakes, it's only going to be with permission, and it's going to be a snake that I know is going to represent the reptile community well, because you can do a lot more damage than you can do good by passing a snake to someone that's not ready for it. I like to dispel fear, not cause fear, okay? And that would defeat all my goals. And that's why I don't do things like pass snakes to people that are not ready to hold a snake. So remember that, you guys. Most people that are really into snakes, they're not going to just pass you a snake because they think it's a funny joke. If someone is doing something like that, they're not a real animal lover, and they're not that good of a friend, okay? People that really love these animals are not going to just throw one over top of you. They're not even going to make you see them if you don't want to. So, any snake interaction should be voluntary because these animals have such a horrible reputation that they don't deserve, but that doesn't mean you have to force them on people. Check out Dundee, you guys. He is absolutely beautiful. So I got my girl Tinkerbell here, you guys. Tinkerbell is a Het A melanistic, Het Ultra Motley corn snake. I got her from my boy Dan at Shack Scales. So on that note, let's go ahead and check in with Dan for one of Dan's snake facts. Take it away, Dan.
What is going on? This is Dan with Shack Scales. I have Slinky here, my T-positive albino Nicaraguan boa. Snake fact for today: although most snakes lay eggs, there is some snakes that have live births. That includes boas, which is going to include anacondas. Vipers is another one, which is also going to include rattlesnakes. So pretty cool, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. So number 4 is going to be people think that people that keep snakes get bit all the time. Now, I have kind of a two-part answer to this. First of all, I don't get bit anywhere nearly as much as you would think I would. If I had to quantify it, I get bit like once every month or every 2 months. And the second part to this is getting bit is not as bad as you think. Snake bites are easy to make look really bad and gory. And the reason for that is snakes actually have an anticoagulant in their saliva. So when a little snake like Tinkerbell here bites you, not that she would because she's such a sweetheart, but if they do, you will bleed out a little bit more because of that anticoagulant. Due to this anticoagulant, you could see a snake bite video and there'd be a bunch of blood running down that person's hand. But if that person shows when they wash that blood off, there will just be some little red dots. Okay, sometimes with baby snakes, they're not even going to break the skin, you guys. So, snake bites are more like an Alfred Hitchcock film, okay? There's a lot of suspense, but when it comes down to it, they're not really that scary. I got reminded of this next topic by this comment right here. But I'm going to make this a more general topic than just what they said, okay? So people think that snake owners are irresponsible. Some of this ties back into the other things. You know what I mean? It would be irresponsible to let snakes roam around your house. And from a pet keeping perspective, it would be irresponsible because you would make them sick. People think that we're irresponsible and will release our pets in the wild. I live about 10 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. If I released my pythons in the wild, they would all die during the winter, first of all. But secondly, it would be super irresponsible to do something like that. And you may say, oh, well, Florida has this invasive Burmese python problem because of reptile keepers. Now, that is not entirely true. Okay, first of all, Hurricane Andrew in 1992 knocked over a massive Burmese python breeding facility, and that is a large part of the Florida Everglades issue. Okay, so that was not really the reptile keeper's fault. That was a hurricane and natural disaster that resulted in that. Now, how bad Burmese pythons really are, should we be killing them instead of the 100 other invasive species? I might be exaggerating on the 100, but Florida has endless invasive species, okay? And it seems like the only one we can demonize enough to go kill are Burmese pythons, but that is a topic for another video, okay? But how bad are these snakes really, or are we just scared of them? But, that would be an irresponsible thing to do, is to go release your snake into the wild. Sure, it's happened, and these are not the majority of people. The majority of people in our community are responsible, you guys. And if you want to know how to properly surrender your snake or reptile that you cannot take care of, I will be doing an upcoming video with a reptile rescue. So guys, make sure you subscribe and tune in for that. We're actually going to give you guys a bonus one, and that is people seem to think that snake keepers are cruel and they're keeping wild animals. This is my boy Maui. He is a blackhead clown pied, possible leopard, ball python that we produced here at Markham Reptiles. And ball pythons, you guys, have been captive bred for over 50 years. Over 50 years, these animals have been domesticated. If this guy got released into the wild, especially here where I live, about 10 minutes outside of Washington, D.C., he would die, okay? So, not only that, but if it was the proper conditions, this is still a domesticated animal. Yeah, maybe it'd pick up a meal or two, but it would be like releasing my dog into the wild. These are absolutely pets. They've been domesticated for 50 plus years. I did not go snatch this animal out of the wild, and this exact coloration of animal you would never find in the wild. Now, that being said, I do breed some types of snakes that are wild caught. Okay. Now, these snakes, their habitats in the wild are being destroyed. So soon there will not be any wild. So, to make sure that there are populations of these animals, I'm trying to captive breed them. And having them captive bred also means that people will no longer have to get them out of the wild. But, like I said, in some cases, there may not be a wild anymore. Deforestation is real. Pollution is real. People building up all these houses is real, and these animals may not have a home to go back to. So when you say go put that snake back in the wild, you're likely either talking about a snake that is number one, been captive bred for 50 years plus, or may not have a home to go back to in the wild. So snake owners are not cruel, you guys, and we are not snatching up wild animals. These are definitely our pets. So this is my boy Smiley, you guys, and he is a wonderful coastal carpet python. So thanks to everybody who commented and, you know, provided the juice for this video right here. There's a lot of misconceptions about snake keepers, and really we're just wonderful people with a wonderful community, just like anybody else, okay? There's a plethora of us. We're not crazy. We don't let snakes just free roam around our house. We don't dump snakes in the wild. We don't grab snakes willy-nilly out of the wild and keep them. These are our pets, and they're wonderful animals to interact with. We're not going to toss a snake over your shoulders, and anyone doing any of those things is not a true snake person, okay? So much love to you guys. Go ahead and check out all the links in our description. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. Thank you guys for everything. Much love, and have a beautiful, wonderful day or night.